A warm welcome to everybody present here. So today we are going to discuss about what is voice user interface and how do we create a robot with a voice user interface. So am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. If there is any issue, please let me know. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Right. So designing voice user interface for real-time application is the topic for today. Right. So you have been listening to these sessions, okay, about chatbot. So today it's an extension of it. So today, what is the agenda for the day is, first and foremost thing, you should know what is the future of voice technology. So we have been always talking about data, machine learning, artificial intelligence, and so many things. But the future seems to be more leaning towards voice technology. So today we are going to discuss about what could that be and how are we going to prepare ourselves for the future is what we are going to discuss today. So we will be creating a simple chatbot. So you have been creating chatbots, say you have created from day one. So you have created something in your Jupyter notebook. Then you have also seen how to create chatbots using Google Dialog flow. And then today we are going to use Python, the simple Python language. And we are going to see how do you build a chatbot from scratch, right? So this is going to be complete programming. This is not drag and drop like you saw yesterday. This is going to be complete programming from scratch, right? Yes, that is the first and foremost thing we will discuss. Next, we are also going to see what is the purpose of learning. Why should I learn to create a chatbot, right? I know all of you will be having this question, so I would like to answer that. The purpose of learning to create a chatbot for you, for students especially, will be like this will give you an idea for your project. Okay, this could be a project, so you can streamline it, and then you can make it your project. So this code will definitely help you to create your project. So this would be the base, right? And second purpose is for the research scholars who are there with us today. So again, what is the research perspective? What is the research perspective that is there in chatbots? So again, one more thing we are going to discuss. So why should I learn chatbots? I should learn chatbots to create a project, chatbot project, or also think in terms of think in terms of research, right? Chatbot could also be a part of your research. So implementing your research, you can always deploy a chatbot and then implement your research work, right? So that these are the top purposes for this session. And the session is going to have 4 modules. Basically, I have divided the session into 4 modules. The first module, we will be developing a simple chatbot in Python, right? We will see the code and understand how a basic chatbot can be developed in Python. And we will move on to adding some GUI, so graphical user interface. So how do I make that basic chatbot? How do I add the GUI? User interface will be added to it, and then we will see how to program it, right? And the final thing is we are going to see voice-based interface. So voice-based interface again has 2 modules, right? The first module will be, so how do you make the chatbot talk, right? How do you make the chatbot talk will be the first module. So it is going to be voice interface. So how do you make the chatbot talk? The next part, the next module of voice user interface is how do you make the chatbot to understand what you spoke, right? Speech recognition. So how do they understand what you spoke, right? So these are the different modules. So we will start from scratch, build a chatbot, and then keep adding modules after modules to it. So in the end, what you will have with you, you will have a user interface, voice-based user interface chatbot, right? So are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Thank you. Right. So, so I've told you that voice interface is going to be the future, right? How is it going to be the future? We will watch a video now. So artificial intelligence will continue to evolve, offering new capabilities and introducing new level of text and voice enabled services. So text and voice enabled user experience is the thing, right? Is the future that will continue to transform the customer experience. So we are going to watch a small video.
In 2007, Steve Jobs disrupted personal computing when he introduced a mobile touchscreen computer that fit in your pocket. Now, we are entering a new era where we are bypassing screens. This is the era of voice, and the fight is on to own this new operating system and app ecosystem that comes with it. Currently, 35% of US households own at least one smart speaker, and that number is set to reach 75% by 2025. This is fueling voice-enabled commerce, which is expected to be worth more than $80 billion per year by 2023. So it's no surprise that the six largest companies in the world, Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Google, Facebook, and Alibaba, are all investing billions in improving their voice-enabled AI assistants. What's really interesting about voice is that the user experience is much more streamlined than other platforms. And this makes it incredibly powerful, but also susceptible to manipulation. A smart voice assistant will answer your questions directly and accurately, without listing off a laundry list of answers. This straightforward and accessible user experience comes at the expense of choice transparency. Unlike with screen-enabled experiences, users don't want tons of options to pick from. They want one correct answer for what they're looking for. And this is where the problem arises. The voice assistant is entrusted with an incredible power to influence and decide what that one response is. Oftentimes, the tech companies behind these assistants optimize the results shown for their personal gain. When you ask Amazon's Alexa assistant to buy light bulbs, it will naturally direct you to Amazon Basics light bulbs, since Amazon has the highest profit margins of them. This fundamentally disrupts the traditional commerce experience, which centers around brands, packaging, reviews, and advertising. Instead, the voice platform you use plays the role of kingmaker for anything you search. Whether you ask your assistant to buy batteries or play smooth jazz, it ultimately gets to pick which batteries to purchase or which song to queue up, and that's incredibly powerful. As smart assistants become increasingly capable of doing everything from making payments to opening garage doors, it's clear voice isn't merely a fad. It's the responsibility of tech giants creating these voice assistants to be thoughtful in their approach as they define the user experience for this next frontier of computing. The first company to take a user-centric approach and build a trustworthy and transparent AI assistant will own the future of voice and the commerce that comes with it.
Yes. So I know you all know about voice-based systems. We have seen an Alexa, we have come across Siri. So you know what it is, but what it is for the future, right? So the whole commerce is going to depend on these voice-based systems. So how important are they? So we should definitely learn how to create one of those systems, right? Yeah, let us continue. Right. So before going into chatbots, you already know what is a chatbot. I don't have to tell you. You've been creating these chatbots, okay, in these sessions. So, but still, I would like to give you my perspective of what chatbots are and how you can classify them. So, chatbots are simulations which can understand human language. So, chatbots are going to simulate a human being sitting on the other side. So, it is not a human being, but a chatbot is going to pretend like a human and it is going to chat with you, right? The, it is going to interact back with humans while performing special tasks, right? So this is why we are going to use chatbots. So there is also a term which is known as conversational agents, right? So the other name for chatbots. But conversational agents do more than what chatbots can do. It's an extension of chatbot, you can say. So conversation agent is a term we usually use in the technical field. So conversational agents are trained to ask a set of questions. Okay, chatbots, wherein chatbots only give you the reply, right? But what these conversational agents do is it will also ask you a set of questions. They'll try and understand the user, the customer, and then it will reply to the queries. So that is the work of your conversational agents. So that can pinpoint, thereby increasing the potential to solve it. So problem solving. So why do a customer chat? So why do you go for those chats which you see on these websites? It basically wanted some help, some information from that particular website. So that's why you go for chatting. So there is a problem there which has to be solved. So if for a problem to be solved, the conversational agent should ask you some questions, should know understand what your problem is, and then try to solve it. So these are advanced chatbots. You call them conversational agents, right? So it engages the user in the conversation and understands the user also, right? So these are conversational agents, right? When you talk about chatbots, there is a term called domain specific chatbots. So what do you mean by domain specific chatbots? So when you program a chatbot, it is very, very important that you understand the domain. So if it is an educational domain, let's say, for example, it's our college website. So as soon as you enter the college website, you see a chatbot popping up, and no, it is asking you questions on admissions. So are you looking for admissions? What course are you looking for? And it is also ready to give you the course details, right? So the domain there is that education, and it's a particular college. Okay, that we are talking about. Similarly, there are various domains like healthcare, like then you can say commerce, right? Commercial chatbots are there. There are chatbots which are used to solve, say, emotional problems, like counseling bots are there. So there are various domain chatbots. So today you not only should know the term chatbot, you also should know what you mean by conversational agent, how is it different from a chatbot, and you also should know what you mean by domain specific chatbots to create one, right? So the domain, actually, the framework is same. The framework which you're going to use for all the domains are going to be same. It's going to have the same pop-up window, the buttons, right? The text boxes and all those components are going to be same. The programming is going to be the same. But what will be different? So what will be different for various domains is the questions and answer which we are going to store, right? So it has to fetch the answers for the questions which is asked by the user, right? So those questions and answer will be different for various domains. So if you learn from today's class to create a chatbot, you can very well make it a customized domain specific chatbot. Okay, and you can try to solve problems like, say, for example, buying an insurance policy, any doubt about your no health conditions, right? You wanted to consult a doctor, again there could be a chatbot which could reply to the basic concerns. So these things are going to be domain specific chatbots. So let us see some of those, right? So AI based user interfaces, let us see domain specific chatbots, right? So I've just picked a few of the chatbots, so each is different from the other. So let us start from the first one. There is this chatbot which is going to ask you, so you have said headache in the forehead. So it is a health bot. It's a health chatbot. So immediately it is saying how long you had the headache. Was the headache severe or moderate or mild? And then it would suggest whether you have to visit a doctor, visit a clinic, or you can do your self medication. Okay, it will also suggest you to order it online. So again, the commerce is involved, very much involved in this particular chatbot. Okay, the one you see below, there is a woman holding a cat, right? So it's a very, very interesting visual chatbot. Okay, so this chatbot is used by, say, blind people. So whenever they are using this particular chatbot, they take a picture using their mobile, okay, and they will send that picture to this bot, and this bot will be able to describe it using voice. So with voice, it will tell. So there is a woman holding a cat. That is where you are standing. So that is what is there in front of you. Okay, so this is again a very, very different kind of a chatbot, right? And then you have a mental health chatbot, as I told you. It's an order of the day. So during this pandemic, we had a lot of people, no, having suffering from depression, and were having a lot of emotional stress. So they can always, they may not, trust people around them, they may not trust their friends or relatives, so they would always like to seek help, right, from an unknown person. They would like to share uh, their side of the story with an unknown person. Then you can use this mental health chatbot. It is also very, very popular these days. Then you can see a real estate chatbot there, right? So what this real estate chatbot does is it's asking you to come and visit that particular say location, right? It's asking you to come and say this apartment can be seen tomorrow, and whichever do you prefer, right? It shows you photographs and it is saying, so this is open. So again, it is a commercial chatbot. So it is going to play with the real estate field, right? And the last one is a recruitment bot. Okay, so I have taken a different domains so that you understand the purpose of building a chatbot. So it is from various domains for various purposes it has been built. But one thing is that is common is it is going to have questions and answers. It's going to be requests and response end of the day. So that's what happens here. The recruitment chatbot again says, I see your profile, right? I saw your profile and you have worked for 2 years in this particular field, right? Will you be interested to work in our company? Is the recruitment, this particular company is what the recruitment chatbot wants to know, right? So all these, whatever I've shown you are all text based as of now. This is what is there now. But in the future, everything, all of this is going to change into a voice based chatbot. How? Let us see a sample of it, right? I would like to show you a voice based chatbot. Let me share that screen with you. Right? So this is again going to be a conversational commerce, how shopping is going to be done in the future using voice, right? So let us watch this video.
Do you have any cool sneakers?
Absolutely. Sneakers are huge this season, so I have lots of options. Any preferences, or should I just show you my favorites?
Yeah, show me options in the $40 to $60 range.
You got it, selecting sneakers between $40 and $60. Here, swipe through to check some options. What do you think? Again, if you want to see anything else or narrow the search, just ask.
Got any similar pairs in black?
Yup. Here are some pairs of black sneakers between $40 and $60, plus some of our other best-selling shoes in black. What do you think? Again, if you want to see anything else or narrow the search, just ask.
What are Chelsea boots?
Chelsea boots are sleek, minimal ankle-high boots with an elastic side panel. They're a great closet staple because they never go out of style. What would you like to do?
Cool. Show me more Chelsea boots.
You got it, selecting black Chelsea boots between $40 and $60. Here, swipe through to check some options. Good choice, these will look awesome on you, so what would you like to do?
Are these leather?
Actually, they're faux leather and canvas, so do you like them?
Do you have them in size 9?
You're in luck, I have one pair in size 9 left in stock. Should I add him to your cart?
Yes, please.
Added. Can I show you anything else, or are you ready to check out?
Right. I'm pretty excited to do shopping this way. Hope all of you are excited for voice-based chatbot shopping. Right. Okay, hope you understood what we are after. We are after creating a chatbot, something similar to this, which can talk to you and understand your query. Right. This is what we are going to do today. Okay, moving on. Yes, so we did see the text-based chatbots, and we also saw the voice-based chatbots. I told you there were some domain-specific chatbots which were all text-based, and then I also showed you some voice-specific chatbots, right? So this is what we have seen already. So you know what is all this. So as I told you, voice-based chatbots are going to have two different modules, wherein first you have to invoke a function called speak, so which will voice your output, and also the second one will take the input from you, from your voice. It has to understand what you're talking and then reply back to whatever you have spoken. So that is going to be known as speech recognition. So this term is very familiar with you. So these are the two modules which these voice-based chatbots will have, right? Yes. So creating this chatbots, what are the various libraries available, especially for Python? So Python is open source. So unlike the other chatbots which you have seen creating, when you create it in Python, it is open source and then it is customizable also. So you can customize it as much as you want, right? So it is always preferable to use a platform wherein you can customize. So you don't have to stick to what options are already available. So preferably for projects and for your research purpose, so drag and drop uh, creation of chatbots will not be very useful. Whereas when you write the program from scratch, so you can easily customize it according to your needs, right? So there are various libraries. So this is a very important screen. So it's going to tell you what libraries are available in Python. So you all must be familiar with Python already. So you can try all these libraries. So you have Chatbot. So this library uses machine learning algorithms, CNA base, and search algorithms, say heuristic search, and all these algorithms are used. There's also something called a spacey. Whenever the volume of data, the data which you store for processing is huge, then you have to go for this library called spacey. There is NLTK, there is text, blob, deep, publove, and PyNLPI. Okay, these are the very, very popular libraries which are used for chatbot. So you have to pick your library based on your need. Okay, so however your whatever your project requires, so accordingly you have to pick and choose these libraries, right? Of which today we are going to use a Chatbot library. This library is already familiar to you, so I'm going to show you how do we create a chatbot using that library, and then how do we move on to voice-based chatbots, right? So these are the libraries which are present for creating chatbots. So there are various options for creating chatbots. We have picked up Python and the Chatbot library today. Okay. Yes. So this is what I was telling you, that there are two purposes for this particular session. One purpose is I want to tell you how do you program a chatbot, a voice user interface chatbot. And I told you that you can use it for your project. You can do a little more work, make it a, say, for example, a domain specific chatbot, and you can make it your project. Right? Definitely that is possible. And the other, other purpose is going to be research, right? So what is the research perspective? I would like to share you a glimpse. I would like to give you a glimpse of my research work, right? For which I have implemented a Chatbot, right? The basic level of Chatbot, whatever we are going to see today was my first layer. And I, of course, built on that. Okay. So what was my research perspective, or why do I use, how did I use chatbots for my research? Is something I would like to share. Yes. So my research was based on cognitive science. So cognitive science is about your mind. So how your mind works. So most of artificial intelligence, we would like to imitate human behaviors. So we study the human behaviors, and we would try and imitate the human behavior. So in that way, what I have done is I've chosen a conversational agent, and how do we actually talk, right? The reply I would give to the same question, but when it is asked by different people, will be different. Okay, why? Because the context will be different. Okay, say if it is going to be family, then I may not think about speaking out. When it is my higher official, say principal, I would definitely think twice before speaking that out, right? So things like this, context based. So aged people, we give them respect and speak to them. The small kids, no, we change our tone and talk to them. So there are so many contexts. Say emotions has to be understood. So what is the emotion of the person who is talking to you? These things, right? So things like this. There are so many things which we have to build upon. So this is known as cognitive science, right? So my conversational agent or my chatbot was cognitive based chatbot is what I have modeled. So the architecture was actually basically it was based on this Marvin Minsky's. Okay, Marvin Minsky is a father of artificial intelligence. He has given his concept called society of minds. Okay, so there is a typo. It's society of minds, right? Society of minds is going to talk about how do you create various agents. Each agent will do one thing. So you would have seen in movies also, right? In the Indian Robo movie also, there is a scene where you see there is something which there is a knowledge which is picked up from textbooks, right? There is knowledge picked up from people talking to them, right? There will be knowledge picked up. So each and every agent is going to pick up a different type of knowledge. So you're going to put everything together, and then you come up with uh, a conversational agent on the whole, right? Let us see how it is. Done. This is my architecture. Just I'm giving you a glimpse of it. We're not going to go in depth with it. I'm just telling you how can you use this chatbot, which we are going to see today, for research perspective. See this, my chatbot is going to have layers like reflexive layer, reactive layer, deliberative learning, epistemic cognition, metacognition, and cognition. So all this is to do with your cognitive science, where is the theory of mind, right? So based on the theory of mind, I'm building a chatbot. Okay, the reflexive layer will be the chatbot which we are going to see today, and then I will build upon the other layers. So of course that is not our agenda for today. So all that I wanted to tell you is yes, you can use this to implement your research work also, right? So what I wanted to tell you here is, so there are conversations, which means you give them a response and you ask for a request, right? Request and response is going to be, question and answer is going to be stored in the agent, or it's going to be stored in your chatbot, and it is going to reply back to your input, right? It's going to respond to your input. So once it replies, once it trains and learns all these input and output, it stores them in form of a database, right? So these are all various agents. So all the agents put together. So they're going to form the cognitive architecture, and they're going to learn or train and then store the trained data in the database. So that's exactly what we are going to do now also, right? So this is the research perspective of your chatbots. Yes. Yes, we stop the discussion with here, and then we are going to move on to the hands-on session, right? For the hands-on session, I'm going to introduce you to Anaconda framework, in which I'm going to use Spider, right? Spider is going to be an IDE, right? Which is used for Python programming. Okay, so we will get into it. Yes, before taking you to the Spider IDE, I would like to introduce some commands and some functions. You will see some of the programming now. So here in these slides, I would like to explain some of it and then take you to the actual programming session, right? Okay, so what are the packages I'm going to use, right? So what happens is you have a lot of packages. So as I told you, there are a lot of libraries, I said, of which I'm going to use the Chatbot library, right? This is the library. This is how you install libraries in Python. So you have to go to command prompt. I will tell you how it can be done. Once we get there, I will show you that. So you have to do pip install is the command which you use to install these libraries. So first library I will be using is called as a Chatbot. So pip install Chatbot. You will install the Chatbot library, which will be used especially for training. So giving you responses, and so many things are there which is associated with the Chatbot module. So we will see that in detail. Chatbot we will discuss in detail. Then the next library which you would need is called tkinter. Tkinter is again used for creating the user interface, right? So when I have to create user interface, you would have created user interface in various platforms, say maybe in .NET, maybe in Java, maybe in say HTML, CSS, whatever, PHP. So you know what is graphical user interface. You have buttons, list boxes, right? You can insert pictures, right? List option buttons and all those things, right? So how do we do that? We are going to use a tkinter library, and we are going to do that GUI designing. And then there is another library which we will need for today. So that is called as PyTTSX3. So PyTTSX3 is used for converting your voice, right? Converting to voice and speaking it out. So there'll be a text which has to be spelled out, right? It has to be spoken by your chatbot. So I'm going to use this particular library to do that task. So it is going to give you the voice, right? So you can do the settings like what voice I need, how do I want it, right? What is the spacing, speed I need? All these things can be set using this library. Okay, there are the last two libraries. They are called a speech recognition and PyAudio. So very important libraries. This is going to be little difficult part. This is the most advanced module of all the four modules which we are going to see today. So what this module does is, first of all, it should take the input from your microphone, right? Whatever I speak in my microphone, it has to be captured, and then the speech recognition will try to convert it into the language. Say for example, I have used English language. Indian English is what I have used. So it is going to convert my speech to English text, right? So it is called speech recognition. It will recognize whatever I speak and I convert it into text format. So that is the library which I'm going to use, right? So all these libraries are going to be installed. In your command prompt using the same command, it is pip install, right? So this is how you install it. To what we need today is we need Anaconda. You have to install Anaconda. We will be sending you the material shortly, right? The material will contain all the programs which I will be discussing with you today. So before getting your hands on, you will have to have the Anaconda installed. Once you install the Anaconda, Anaconda is a framework which contains your, you have PyCharm, you have Jupyter Notebook, you have Orange, and so many other platforms are there, of which we are going to use Spider. Okay, Spider stands for Scientific Python Development Environment. Okay, that's, don't think what am I saying, Spider, Anaconda, and all. So they are all the names of the tools which we are going to use for today's programming, right? Spider is the platform which we are going to use. We are going to use it for programming in Python, right? These are the packages used for the session, right? So what is this Chatbot package? So Chatbot package, again, it is, so you have to install it using pip install, right? It is a Python library, and the library saves the text. So what it does is it has ways of storing the text file. So you can store it either in form of a database, you can store it in an Excel file, your CSV format file. So first what it does, it stores the file, it stores your data. What is the data? The data contains questions and answers. So what you want the robot to answer. If this is my question, then what I want the answer to be. Right? This data I have to first primarily store it either in form of a CSV file or a database, whatever, right? So this chatbot will first train. So it has training happening. So there are trainers, right? Modules called trainers, which will be used to train the text which we are going to pass through. And then once it is training is done, then whenever I ask a question, so I have a request, I will get the response from the chatbot. Okay, so this is why we use this chatbot library. Okay, so as we go, there you have any doubts or you find something, find that I'm going little faster, you can always stop me, right? So this here we are going to just see a glimpse of what commands we are going to use. Once we go to Python, I will explain the complete program. Okay, so that again we will do. So all these things we will be discussing it more than once. So once here and then we will go back to the programming also, right? Yes. How do I create a chatbot? First and foremost thing. I told you Chatbot is the library we're going to use. Chatbot uses a class, say chatbot class. I will be creating a object for the class chatbot. So it is going to be bot. The object is going to be bot. How do we create a chatbot? Bot is equal to chatbot of I'm giving a name for my bot. So I'm going to call it ggBot. Right? So this is how you create a chatbot. First of all, you have created a bot. Now the next step is I have to store the response and the request, right? Request and the response has to be stored in form, either in form of a file, in form of say a database or whatever, in form of a corpus. So these are the different ways of storing it. Whenever your data is huge, you call it a corpus. So you can store huge amount of data, create corpuses. So Chatbot also has a built-in English corpus. So it has its own questions and answers. You can download that corpus. You can add your own questions and answers to that corpus or make some corrections to that corpus. That also is allowed. So I'm showing in the slide, I'm showing you there are three different ways of giving the data, storing the data. The first thing is I'm going to store the data in form of a conversation, right? I'm going to say conversation. So I'm going to have the data, say for example, it is a list. So I have hello, then hi there, how are you? I'm great. Okay, that's a good idea. Thank you, whatever, right? All these conversations can be stored like this directly. If it is a small chatbot, then the conversations can be directly typed and stored it in the given it in the program itself, right? No, if the conversations which I'm going to use is going to be a huge file, then I can definitely add it to a Excel file or a CSV file, and I can also upload that and train it. Okay, or if it is a corpus, then I can also download the corpus file. So all this corpus database or this particular list, all these are going to contain data, okay, in various no, sizes, right? Yes. How do I train the data? So these are the steps. The first step is I should first store the conversation somewhere. Then I should train my chatbot. My chatbot will train the conversation. So it will say, okay, if it is hello, then I have to say hi there. If the question is how are you, then I have to say I'm doing great. Right? So this is how you train the chatbot. Okay, so this trainers doesn't look for the exact perfect match. Okay, what if I say hello, how are you doing? It will definitely come up with an answer. So it will combine these two and definitely come up with an answer. It is not like we are matching something. It's not like the programs which we where we write no, if okay, the request is equal to no hello, then the response is equal to hi there. No, it is not like that. It would after you train it, it would do its search, right, and then it will try and fit the best possible match, right? That is what the trainers do. And the trainer we are going to use here is called as a list trainer. So you can see here you're going to use a trainer called as the list trainer. So that is a trainer I'm going to use. As list trainer, okay, uses some machine learning algorithms and trains, right? So the trainer is already available, you don't have to work with that. You said that you can also add your own trainer. Say you can also do your own machine learning algorithm, use your own machine learning algorithm which you prefer, and also train it. So again, it is up to you, right? So I told you two things. One is how do you store the file, right? How do you store the questions and answer? Second thing is, if it is a big file, then you're going to store it in form of a corpus, right? And then you're going to do the training, right? So the trainer I'm going to use here is a list trainer. It will automatically use the machine learning algorithm and train it. Okay, so there is no coding which we are going to do. We are just going to say import list trainer, and the training is going to happen, right? Yes. Okay. Bot.train is the method which we are going to use, a very important method. This method will train your conversation. Right? The conversation again can be any file, can be a database or a normal list or any file, Excel sheet. Yes. Next things, what all is possible, I will tell you. So we are not going to do these things in the program. Anyways, it's not required for us. So we are going to give a clean pre-processed data is what I'm going to store. So anyways, I wanted to tell you what is pre-processing. You have seen pre-processing, you've heard that term. So maybe you can clear the white spaces, say your punctuation marks, your emojis, these things you don't want in text, because maybe it is confusing when the trainer wants to train it and when it wants to retrieve the data, it will be difficult. So what I do is I give the I do the pre-processing where I remove, make it into a lower case. However you feel that no machine will learn from your data. Machine has to learn from your data, right? So as much as possible, give a clean data where you don't have all these punctuation marks or emojis which may be confusing for the machine learning algorithms to make it learn. So again, I can do some filtering. Say, for example, one filter which I have used is called recent repeated responses. So say you wanted the chatbots to act like humans, right? So when will we find out that it is a chatbot? So when it is going to repeat the same thing again and again, whatever question you ask you, it's going to say good morning, good morning, good morning. Then you will know that it is a chatbot and not a human which is who's chatting with you, right? So you can have filters wherein no to make it look realistic. You say I will remove the recently repeated responses. Okay, storage, I said you can again pick and choose your storage adapters. So what happens to the storage adapter is once your conversation is trained and learned, whatever is trained will be stored in a storage adapter, right? So it will be stored in a database. So it could be a SQL database or it could be a MongoDB. So whatever database you choose, so that becomes your storage adapters. It will store the trained data. Remember, it is going to store the trained data, right? Again, so there are again some logical adapters also. So when there is this conversation, we have trained it. Sometimes the conversation may not be in English. My request will be something like 5 into 8. Okay, so it shouldn't think, no, it is English conversation. It shouldn't try replying back to it. Instead, I want the system to calculate and give me the answer. Okay, so what you should use some logical adapters like mathematical evolution. So it has to have this time sense. So if I say I'll be back in 5 minutes, then it should know what is the current time. The current time is 2:40. Then if I say 5 minutes, maybe I'm talking about 2:45. It should get the timing sense. Similarly, specific response. So in my chatbot, I told you, say, for example, it's a like healthcare chatbot, and the patient doesn't have any energy to talk. So he just screams help. As soon as you hear the help, you call 911, like country specific it is. So in our country, whatever it is, you can say that just call that number, or even you can even directly have a call there. So specific response can be set. You can set up these specific responses for your chatbot to give in case of this, in cases like this, right? You can give responses. All these things has to be set where using these logic adapters. right? So these are some of the modules which you have in Chatbot. With Chatbot, what all you can do, I'm telling you, these are some of things you can do. Again, confidence. What do you mean by confidence is I ask a question. Okay, I'm going to say, how was your day? Right? So it should go and search whether that question is there, and then it should pick the answer for that question from the database, and then it should tell you, right? So what that particular answer is not there, but it will definitely give you an answer, but it will not have that confidence. So confidence will be 100% only when the exact question and exact answer is present in your database. Okay, if it is not there, then accordingly your confidence level will uh, decrease. Right, so this is again very important for research purposes, even for your project. You can find out how efficient your chatbot is, how confident your chatbot is. Right, you can use this confidence method for that. Yes. Yes, so we have seen some of the uh, say modules in your chatbot library. So I'll just go through it. So what all we did, we know how to create a chatbot. We saw how can you I train the chatbot. So how do I do pre-processing, filtering, storage adapters? How do I set logic adapters? And what do you mean by confidence? So these are some of the. I've just given you a glimpse of what is a chatbot. Okay, what is this chatbot library? There are so many things which you can do with the chatbot, right? So again, project specific details can always be read from the website. You just have to Google Chatbot and it will take you to the library. Okay, you can go through what modules are there and then create. Yes. So now we are done with the Chatbot. We are moving to user interfaces. How do I create user interfaces? I'll go fast because we have to go to the programming environment also. So here, how do I create an user environment? So this is how I'm going to do. So I am going to, I'm going to design a chatbot. Let us say this is my chatbot I'm designing, right? There's going to be a window there. I want to first create a window. So in that window, I'm going to add, let's say, a label, and I'm going to insert a picture inside the label. Let us say I'm going to have a picture which is going to look like a robo, obviously. And then I'm going to have a list box. So this list box is going to contain, say, the request and the reply and these things. So I'm going to have a list box here, and I'm also going to have a button, right? So when I click the button, I wanted to get the response. I type a question in the text box. So I have a text box and type the question. This is my design. Okay. I repeat, our design is going to have, so let us say a picture has to be stored. You have to have a list box, which is going to list out all the questions and answers, all the discussions we had, right? With the robo has to be all present in this list box. I'm going to give the query using a text box, and I'm going to have a button after clicking which I need to get the reply. So this is called the user interface, right? Which we have done in many programming languages. So what is the library I'm going to use here? It is called Take-Inter library. So using which I'm going to create, first of all, I'm going to create a window, right? I'm going to give the geometry size of the window. Then I'm going to have an image inserted into that particular window. I'm going to have a text box. I'm going to have a button. So these are some of the interface commands I have shown here. So once we go there, we will completely see what is there for us, right? Yes, so this is going to be the chatbot, right, which we would have created. Okay, end of the session. This is the chatbot I would like to create. It has, say, a title. It has a picture, an image, and this is the list box which is going to have your response and the reply, right? So this is where I'm going to send the request, right? This is a button, clicking which I would get my response. You understand? This is the GUI, graphical user interface. So for which we have to use the library called Take-Inter, right? So remember those libraries. Yes. Next is we have to add voice to it. As I told, voice is of two modules. One is it has to speak out, and second one is it has to listen to what I'm saying and try to understand. Right. So there are two things: speaking and listening. Right. So they are what we are going to use here for voice, right? Which means for speaking out. It is easy to speak out. You give a text and it will convert it into voice and speak it out. That is going to be easier. So what is the library I'm going to use? I'm going to use pyttsx3 is the library I'm going to use. So I'm going to import that, right? And I'm going to say, so this same method is used to say the words. Words will have the text stored and it will be converted into words. So this is which is what we are going to use for voice integration with your UI, right? Yes. Next one is speech recognition. As I told you, it has to listen to you. okay, through your microphone. So it has to pick up the audio through your microphone. So listen is the method which is used to pick up the audio from your microphone. Recognize that English language or whatever language it is. You have to give the language. I'm going to using Indian English, and it is going to recognize what you spoke through the microphone, and then it is going to convert into a query, and again give it to the chatbot. Chatbot will reply to your query. So this is your speech recognition part. You understand? So what we have done, we have first imported Chatbot, and then I said in the Chatbot, like using the Chatbot library, I will train the chatbot, right? So that when I give a request, it should give me a response. That is a basic function I want the Chatbot to do. And then I have to create a graphical user interface. So I have to design the graphical user interface. Then I have voice to be converted. Say the text has to be converted into voice and it has to be spoken out. And I also want the chatbot to recognize my voice. So whatever I speak, that speech has to be recognized, and then there should be a reply coming from my chatbot. So this is what is the agenda, okay, for today. So we will quickly move to Spider. So over to the IDE, right? Yes. Please make down notes. So whenever I ask you to note down something important, please do it so that it'll be easy for you when you actually try it. I want all of you to try it out in your systems. So once the session is done, once you get the material, you will be definitely all of you will be able to do it, right? Yes. So let me share the whole screen so that no, it shouldn't be. Yes. Now we are going to move to Spider. Yes. I was telling you that I want you to install Anaconda. Once you install Anaconda, ANACONDA, okay, is going to be the IDE here. So which actually has all these built-in tools. So you have the command prompt, the Jupyter Notebook. So you have this IBM Watson Studio, right? You have Orange, you have Spider, you have PyCharm, so many things. R Studio and all these things are there together, right? So I want you to install it. You can Google Anaconda. It will take you to the website and you can install Anaconda from there. It will going to be very useful, guys. Once you do, not just for this project, for any project, any Python projects, any R Studio projects, anything, it is very, very useful. Okay. So once I install Anaconda, so what I will do is I'll move to the command prompt. So hope you're all able to see my screen, right? This command prompt, what I can do in command prompt, whatever libraries I want, I have to install those libraries, right? So what are the libraries I told you? We need libraries like Chatbot, tkinter, then TTSX3. We need PyAudio. I said we need Pi. We also need speech recognition. So you have to use this command called pip install space, and all these libraries has to be installed from command prompt. Okay. The first step, please note down, is to install Anaconda. Once you're done installing Anaconda, go to the command prompt and make sure you install all the required libraries. So I've told you my material will also give you the required libraries. You can install it, right? So once you've done with all the installations, all the library installations, we will directly go to Spider, right? And then your Spider is going to look like this. This is how your Spider is going to look like. And then you start your Spider, as I told you, is just an IDE, right? It is not nothing more than an IDE. So you just have a space where you can type the program. This is where you will see the execution of the program, right? And there are so many other variables can be seen, right? File Explorer can be added to the screen. I have removed all these other things because I want you to be able to see the program properly, right? So install Anaconda, launch Spider, and come here. Whatever programs I'm giving you, just type it and try to execute. So execution is here. Okay, this particular is a run key. Click on this and then your program executes, right? Shall we start our first program? Yes. Okay, my chatbot is still listening.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Okay, so as I told you, first step, what I did in the program, you can see from Chatbot, import Chatbot. So Chatbot is a class I'm importing because I have to create a bot, right, using this Chatbot class. So Chatbot is the class which I'm going to try and create an object, right? Second thing is I'm going to also import list trainer because I wanted to train my chatbot. Okay, so I will be training my chatbot also using list trainer. Okay, how am I going to do that? A CMRIT bot is my object, right? It is going to be my object which I have created. Just give me a minute. I will stop it. It's still. Right. So CMRIT is my object which I'm creating for my chatbot. So it is going to say CMRIT bot is equal to chatbot of the name of the bot, and this is the trainer which I'm going to use. So I also spoke about those storage adapters. No, if I wanted to say which database I wanted to use for storing my trained data, then I can give the adapter. If you don't give anything, it will choose its own default adapter, which is going to be your SQL database. So once the training is done, it will store the trained data in SQL database, right? Yes. Here I have some conversation. As I told you, so these are the conversation I have stored. I'm storing it in form of a list. I'm going to say conversation is equal to hello, hi there, how are you, all these things. I'm going to store this. It's some form of data. You can store it with any data structure. I'm going to use this conversations and I'm going to do the training. So how do I do the training? I have to say CMRIT bot my object dot method is train is the method here. Okay, here train is the method of conversation. So it will train this conversation. It has to be conversation has to be trained and it has to be stored inside the database. Okay, how will I use the stored information? I have to say, so request is here just a variable name. So input, right? Input is what is going to take the input from you, and that input has to be passed to your response. So I have to, I'm just taking an input, I'm storing that input in request. So in a variable called request, I'm storing that input. So what happens? Response is equal to CMRIT board dot get response. So again, get response is the method used to go search the response. Okay, the reply for your request has to be searched in the database, and it will, whatever it thinks is appropriate reply, it brings back that reply, and that reply will be printed in the screen, right? So this is the most simple program. So I would call it the first module program. So basically we are storing the data inside a variable called conversation, and we are going to use train method to train it. Okay, so how do I execute? I told you this button is what you will need to execute, right? So we are going to execute it. So as soon as I run this, training happens. Can you see the training happen? So it's going to, it's a very, very small list, right? That's why it was very fast. So if it was a big corpus file, so it's going to be so containing 1 lakh data, then it's going to take a long time. And system, you also need very high-end systems. Okay, right. So this is a small thing. So from these questions only, I will say what, I will ask some question here. I'm going to say, how are you doing? Right? And it says bot is saying, I'm doing great. Yes, it was very simple, right? It was very simple. It has trained all this and it is trying and matching out the request, whatever request input data we gave. It is matching out from the trained data and then it is giving you the output, right? The same thing I want no, to continue talking to the robot. Like I wanted to continue asking questions, right? So how can I do it? So we will go to this particular program. Again, we are trying and no going to the next level of programming. So the same program only difference I will tell you is I'm going to use a while loop. Okay. So a while loop is going to break only when I give exit. If my request is equal to exit, then it will break the loop and come. Until then, it will keep asking me to give the request. I'll keep questioning and it will keep replying back to. Okay, that is one change in the second program, right? So otherwise, you see, we are training using list trainer, right? So we are going to have this method called train and training the conversation, and the same things we are giving inside a loop so that we keep doing the same thing again and again. There is again one more difference which if you have noticed, that is the conversation before we gave it like in form of a list. Here what are we doing is we are going to give it in form of a file. So this is a CSV file. So CSV file is it's like your Excel file. It is CSV means comma separated values. Okay, and it is only read only. So I'm going to read that file and then store it in form in the conversation, and that conversation is going to be trained. So that's the only change. So two changes we have done. One change is that we have taken the a file. So instead of storing it as a variable, I'm going to take a file and then pass that file for training. That is one thing I'm doing. Second thing is, I want, when I execute it, I want many requests to be taken, and then I want replies to for all my requests. Right. So again, what I have stored in the CSV file will decide my answers here. Okay, so I have again stored simple data, whatever we saw in some data like that I have stored. So we will execute and check whether it is able to give us results. Yes, so you are able to understand so much? Yes, guys?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so you can stop me whenever you feel it is, I'm fast or you're not able to understand a point, you can always stop me. Right. So anyways, you will get this, get the material, so you can try it out on your own. Okay. So as of now, you can listen to my explanation, and then it will be easy for you to understand. Right. So I'm going to execute now. Right. So training is done. So I'm going to ask. My question. It says awesome. I only have very limited questions here, so I will stick to that. As you train, no, you keep training, you can give more data. So when you start with, always start with small data and check whether your program is working perfectly, and then you can keep adding data. Right. So then it will be easier. I'm going to ask another question. So it gives you the reply. So these are some of the questions which I have stored. Right. So say, for example, I don't have the answer for chatbot. So similarly, let us say I'm going to ask some question. What is say laptop? Right. So there is no answer for this, but it will try and fetch you some answer. So that's what happens. It will not give you, it will not say, no, I don't know, because its work itself is to go search, find a match, and then give you a reply. Right. So I'm going to say, what is a laptop? Right. It will try to find, no, it says some answer it is bringing. Artificial intelligence, the branch of engineering, whatever it understood, whatever it has trained accordingly, it does. Right. But what I wanted to tell you is, I know that this is not the proper answer. Your system also knows that this is not the perfect answer. How I will tell you. Say, for example, how will I know whether my reply is not no correct or it is not accurate? How do I know that? I can print the response. So it will, then you will know that it is not accurate. Let me exit it, come out of the execution, and then I have added this response here, right? So I'm going to execute it again. The training happens again, right? Here I'm going to say, ask the same question. So let us say, what is a chatbot? I ask. So can you see that confidence level is printed there, 1, which means it knows 100% that it is confident that the answer is correct. Let us ask the same question which we asked before. Let us say, whatever, that's something which is not stored already. See, it says chatbot is a program that attempts, it simply comes up with something. Desktop also, it understood, it takes it like a chatbot question, and it gives a wrong answer, and the confidence level is coming down, you see. Okay, it is trying to match words, say computer oriented words, then it is trying to say something about artificial intelligence, or it is trying to say something about chatbot. Okay, that is how it behaves. Okay, the more you train and the more you cut down on all these errors is when your program becomes efficient. There is a lot of things you have to do for that, but this is your basic chatbot. For all the right questions, you will get right answers. So that's all we have done so far, right? So again, exit I'm using because I have told exit will break my loop, and I've come out of execution, right? So this is my first module. We have so far covered one topic, that is how do you train a chatbot in Python using this chatbot module, right? That's what we have done. So can we move on?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
yes, okay, thank you
Yes,
guys.
ma'am.
Yeah. So now what are we going to do is, so we have trained the chatbot. So the same program, I'm going to have it here. Same lines is going to be copied and pasted everywhere. But what is that extra thing I'm going to add in the second module is, I'm going to create a graphical user interface. As I told you, we're going to use this take inter module class, and we are going to create this particular graphic user interface. Right. So let us see what it is. I would explain you all these commands. But before that, I want you to see how your chatbot is going to look like. So I'm going to execute this program. So training is going to happen here. Right, once the training is done, you can see that the chatbot is popped up. So can you see? Right, so this, as I told you, this is the design. So we have executed the program, whatever design we have implemented in the program, we can see that. Right, so you have a title, you have a image coming, there is a list box where you have the requests and the responses, you have a text box here where I'm going to type my question, and if I click this bot button, it is going to give me the reply. Let us see if it is happening. So let us go for the same questions. Say, how are you? It says fine, thank you. I'm going to say, how was your day? Say the training is same. The whatever you store in the database is same. Your reply is same. Only thing you have added is a GUI. That's all you have added. Okay, whatever program you have written previously, it's the same program. Only that the question and answer is going to happen through a user interface. That is the only difference. Right. So I'm going to say, how was your day? It says awesome. This is how your bot is going to look like at work. Right. So I'm just closing the bot. Let us go to the programming and see what is all added now. What is the module that is added? Right. So I will not repeat whatever we already know. So we already know what is a chatbot. We already know what is a list trainer. Right. We have to see what is new here. Okay. As I told you, we will be using tkinter. Okay, tkinter is the library I will be using. Tkinter module, I'm going to import everything in that module. So there will be any module will have sub modules also, right? So if I'm going to use more than a module, then I will not say one by one. No, it is going to be time consuming. But what is the best way to do is you have to say one by one, only then it is going to be efficient. Your program will not have any warnings. If I say star, no, it doesn't know which module is included, which module is not included. So it gives you these warning messages. So it's better to, it's okay. If there is no problem, you can execute the program, still the program runs. The thing is, you can either use star or you can say what is a specific sub module which I will be using. Okay, that is one thing which I have added in the code, right? And then here, this part. Okay, see this part. A main is equal to tk. Tk is used to create a window, right? The name of the window I'm going to create is going to be main. So it's the object for the tk class. Tk class is used to create a window. So first of all, I need a window. Inside the window, I will be placing all the controls. Okay, what is the size of the window? Size of the window is say 600 by 650 is the size of the window. So then I have no, I have named my robo as no GG Unco bot. So the meaning for Unco here means unusually amazing person. So unusual because he's a stranger. We don't know Unco, but no, he's an amazing person. He is able to reply to all our commands. So this is the name which I have given, right? So again, img here is no, I have stored image called bot. The bot is the image. You could have seen that no robot image you saw in that execution. So that image I'm storing it in img. Okay, in a file called img. I am going to attach that image. So img is the image. I will be attaching that image to a label because no, otherwise it will float. So I wanted to have a label, and then in the label I have to attach it. So the label, my label is nothing but photo L is the label which I have created. Okay, and the label is going to have two things, two parameters. The first parameter here is main. So what do you mean by main? So main here means the window. So label has to be inside a window, and it should also embed itself with the image, right? Okay, so this paddy is a very important variable which you are using here. It is used to give spacing, so left spacing and right paddy. It could be left paddy. You're giving some space. Space here is given in pixels. I'm going to say I don't want it to be neck to neck with the window. I want the label to be little away from the window. So I'm going to have a paddy of 5. So what I'm packing is if I don't pack, what happened? Every component is going to float, right? I have to put it together. So you would have used it in all the other GUI platforms also. You're packing it to form a single unit, right? So that is what that's what we have used. Apart from that, what is that we are using? Will come down, right? So ask from bot is again the what do you say, the function definition, right? So we are defining this function ask from bot, right? Whatever query I'm typing in my text box has to be answered by the robo, right? So that's what I'm going to do in this particular function definition. So you can see the indent, you can note down. So these are all going to come inside the function definition. First of all, I have to take the query which is there in the text box. So I showed you where the text box is. Wherever I type the query, that is the text box. From the text box, the query is going to be stored in a variable called query. right? And then I have to use get response to get the response, right? I have to use get response to get the response. So that's what I have done here. So get response of query. Whatever query I have typed in the text box, I wanted to the robot to give me the response, right? And that response where I want to come. I wanted to come inside the list box, right? So I have to create a list box also. So the list box I'm creating is MSGS insert to the list box. The end of the list box, I'm going to keep inserting my query and the answer. Both I'm going to insert both query and the answer. So this is what I do here, right? So both the query and the answer is going to be inserted. Once I insert it in the list box, I will remove it from my text box, because text box is where I typed. From that it has to go to the list box. The answer also should come in the list box. So once that is done, my text from the text box has to be deleted so that it will be ready for me to type the next query. Right, so that is how I wanted it. So I'm deleting that text box, and I'm also attaching a scroll bar. I'll show you where the scroll bar is. So to this list box, I'm also attaching a scroll bar. Why view here means the vertical scroll bar, okay, will be attached to your list box. So that is what I wanted, a vertical scroll bar to be listed, right? So how am I doing that? This is just a function definition, but actually I'm creating a frame inside my main window. I'm attached inside the frame. I'm attaching two things. One is the scroll bar, and another one is the list box, right? Scroll bar and list box I'm attaching inside, right? I'm giving the width and the height of the scroll bar. Why scroll here means the vertical scroll. So I'm going to do the set the vertical. If you don't want the scroll bar, it's okay. You can leave all these commands. So it will still work. No, you don't have to have a frame. It doesn't have to have all these things, right? So you can have another text box wherein you give the query in one text box and get the reply in other text box. Also is fine. So again, you're the programmer. You have to decide the design. Okay, decide on the design. Again, I have to pack the scroll bar and the list box inside the frame. So I use pack command. So I'm going to say y here means it's going to fill the height. X will fill the width and Y will be used to fill the height. Both will be used to fill both. So completely pack it, filling the whole space. Okay, then you have to use both. So that is what we have done. So we have used the whole list box here. MSGS is the list box. It is going to completely fill the whole space of the frame, right? And I'm going to use only the scroll bar here. It is going to be a vertical scroll bar, and that is going to be towards my right hand side, right? That's what I have told here. So GI, again, you can know it's a separate say training program has to be done for GI, because there are a lot of commands. So I'm only telling you what commands we have used. It is enough you try these commands first. Automatically you will get the interest, and also you'll get to understand what we have done and how it has to be done, right? You can explore more on this, right? So here again, I'm going to have a text box inside the window. I've told what is the font I'm going to use. So these some properties. This is again optional, right? You want the default font, you can again leave it, right? So again, I'm going to say pack my text box also. I'm giving some space, okay? Space I'm going to give where, and I'm going to fill it, fill the X here means the width, okay? Complete width I'm going to keep it, right? Fill it with just giving 10 space paddy I'm going to give, right? Below the text box, I'm going to also insert a button here. Right, the color of the button is red. It is going to have the text BOT on top, written on top. What is the font I'm going to use? All that I'm giving. And here comes the very important part where I have to say what event it will invoke. So the command here is as soon as I click that button, what it should do, it should go and call this ask from bot function. Okay, so what happens? What is the event that is attached to my button is what I have to say here. Right, button is also packed the button with the window. So everything is now done. So what we have done, we first had created a window. The window had a label inside it. Inside the label, I have fitted a picture. So I have embedded a picture inside the label. Below that, I had a list box. It will have a scroll bar also on my right hand side. Below that, I will have a text box, and below that text box, you have the button. So all these things are created, right? Yes. So if you want the event, okay, which is the event, the button event to be invoked, that is the event class, you have to use btn invoke, right? In btn invoke method has to be invoked. So I'm putting it into a function whenever I wanted that button. Whenever I press that button, this function will be called, and the button will be starting to function, right? So I have to invoke it. Yes. So here what I have is, after I finish the design, I have to say main.main loop. Okay, this is a very, very important method So this is the method which will make the whole thing run repeat infinitely. So the whole loop will run infinitely, which means all these should stay in the window, right? So it should not just appear and go away, right? If you want it to appear completely, you have to say the window has to be in loop. It has to be in infinite loop, so it will always be there, right? And you're also binding it together. So here's the enter function I told you, this enter function, creating this enter function here. This will be used to invoke the button. So once I press the button, automatically the button will be invoked and this command will be executed. Ask from bot will be the function which will be executed. You understand? So far what we have done, we have just created and designed a GUI for my chatbot, right? So again, what I'm going to do, every time I take a query, so I want to say take query is the method of, obviously, take query. We have already seen that take query method. So what this method is going to do, it is going to take the query from your text box, right? And it is going to give the answer to it. Reply will be coming from the bot, right? So again, let us see, after discussing the whole program, I wanted to again show you, right, how the see other training and all, it is same like the previous first module program. This is second module program, only has an extra element, and that is your nothing but your GUI design. You understand? So this is what we are talking about. This is the list box I told you. This is your text box, and this is your button. So these are the things which we have created. Once the list box is full, automatically you can see the scroll bar here, but it is inactive. Once the list box is full, you will be able to scroll down. Okay, so this is the GUI part of it. So any doubt in this GUI part? Are you at least able to understand the basic, because you already know, you're all done programming before? So you've created buttons, you've created option boxes, check boxes. Only thing is it is a different platform. Okay, and it is very important that you learn to create them in Python. So it will be very useful for all your projects. Okay, guys, so make sure that you do it. Any doubt till here? Anything you wanted to ask me now?
Ma'am, I have a question, ma'am, not a doubt, ma'am.
Yes, tell me.
Ma'am, isn't it bit disturbing that AI or chatterbox is all time listening to us, ma'am?
That's the purpose of it, right? The whole purpose is you wanted it to listen. See, again, when we actually do the speech recognition, the listening actually can be, the threshold can be increased. Say, for example, you don't want to keep listening every second. So I have settings. My setting is I wanted it to listen every second. But you can say no, not every second. You can make it no every minute. If every minute, if it no captures the input, that is enough. You can always do that. But that's what happens actually. Even if it is your Alexa, for example, you have Alexa at home, when it starts listening, that's why we have that button. You have to keep pressing that button when you speak, which means you are no decreasing the time when it listens. Okay, I hope you
No,
understood,
ma'am,
get
but
my
whenever
point.
we just say Alexa and Alexa responds,
Yeah, it
ma'am,
is.
that's
Yes, it is listening. It has to do that. Yes,
so
you are able to you.
it can be used in a negative way, ma'am, also, ma'am.
Yes, yes,
If
we
not
saw
an
that.
Alexa,
Yeah, true, true, true.
yes, ma'am.
Yeah, it can be used in a negative way. Again, there are two sides to every, two sides to a coin. We would like to use it positively. So there were so many technological improvements. Both it can be used in both the ways. But down the line, we started seeing only the positives, and we started using positive. Security again is a concern. We saw that in the video also, that the security is a concern,
Yes,
and it
ma'am.
is listening to you. And there is a problem also now that it listens to every conversation of yours. And what if no, you cannot
Yeah, actually,
speak
that's the point,
anything.
ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
secret,
Alexa and
secrets.
Amazon is a very big firm, ma'am, that we can trust that particular product, ma'am. But what about the rest of the product, ma'am?
Yes, that is
That's
how
what.
it is. See, it has become very powerful, but how are we going to use it is in our hands. So again, we have to find out tools and methods of restricting it to build security. All that is still there. We have to go a long way. So we have just started with voice. It is amazing for us. No, we feel that yeah, it's nice to have a voice-based chatbot. But when you talk about security, all these things, it is a concern. Again, we have to find a way out of it. Okay, we will definitely
Okay,
do
okay.
that.
Yes, ma'am.
We will do it.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Right. So we will move on. We are going to go to the third module now. We are done with creating a chatbot. We are done with creating an GUI. Now comes the voice part of it. So for third module will be only voice. So it will only be able to speak to us, right? So again, I will execute it. Whenever it speaks out, no, I will be able to hear it in my headphone. I don't think you will be able to hear it. Let's check first. If not, I will try to record and play it for you. Play the recorded one, right? I'm executing this. This is going to be the voice based one. So it has the same GUI. Only a very few components are added here. So everything is going to be same, right? So everything is going to be same. Only thing is you're going to add this voice part. That's all is your third module. Okay, this is the only part which we are going to add, right? So what this part contains, as I told you, so voice has to use this particular module, which is pyttsx3, right? You have to initiate it, create an engine, and what that engine does is it has to speak. So how it speaks a particular voice. It speaks in a particular voice. Again, that voice can be decided by us, right? So I've used a list which has two voice, a male and a female voice, and I'm using a female voice, right? Because my Anko bot is and it's gender specific bot, right? So the method I'm going to use here is the speak method. It is going to speak whatever words, say whatever I'm going to type in the text box, whatever question I'm going to ask from the text box, that text box has to be taken as a request, right? And there should be a response from your chatbot. That response will be in form of words. It will be able to talk to us, right? So what is that we are using? We are using this get property, right? To get that voice, right? To get that voice file and then convert your text into voices. That is what we are going to do. Next, we are going to say speak is the user defined function. So wherein it's going to use a method called say. So the method which we are going to use here is called say method. So whatever we speak, that has to be those words that will be stored in a variable called words, and then it will speak out those words. Okay, so what is words? So what will be the contents of these words? Where is the value for words stored? Yes, where are we giving it? Where am I typing the question? Are you there with me, guys? The request I have for the chatbot, I type the question in a text box. Then the text box is going to be stored inside the content of the text box is going to be, it has to be stored inside words. And then that word has to be spoken. Okay, that's all we are doing, right? So whatever question I have in my text box, it has to find a reply for that. That reply has to be stored inside a variable called words, and that has to be spoken out, right? So that is what we are doing. So I will show you I will execute it, then you will understand what it is. And as I told you, there we had main loop. No, it has to be an infinite loop. Here, what it should do, it should run, it should speak, and then wait for us to give the next question. So it has to run and wait. You have to make this engine to wait, right? So this is also again important that you execute the method here, right? Let me execute the program now. Then you will understand what we are talking about. So the training is happening. Again, that part is same, right? Only thing we have added is a GUI, and the third module is going to have the voice part of it. So I'm going to say, how are you doing? Click on this button. So what I said is meant is this text box. I'm going to give my question in the text box. My bot has to find a reply to it and speak that reply out. That is what it is going to do, right? I'm going to click on bot. So did you hear that? It said, I'm doing great. Did you hear it? I was able to hear it in
No,
my
ma'am.
headphone. No. Okay. So what I will do now, I will play it in form of a video. I also had that planned because no, I was not sure whether you will be able to hear it. Right? Voice. Wait a minute. So I will share that particular video. So I want you to experience it. That is why I am taking this time. Though it takes time, I want to do that. So that recorded, whatever we executed now, that recorded thing is there. I'm going to share that with you. Yes, hope you're able to see the screen. Let us see what happened. I'm executing the program. I'm going to type a question now.
Hi. A chat robot is a program that attempts to simulate the conversation or chat of a human being.
Yes, you saw that. So that is how it executed. So you are able to see, listen to a female voice, right? This is female
Yes, ma'am.
voice. Yeah, this is how no, your output will be. So you can experience it in your own laptop. Here we have that issue with the Google Meet. Okay, so we will move on to the program part. Right, going back to Spider. Right. So this is what has happened here. So we have created a chatbot first. Will it be able to listen to us, recognize what I speak? So we will try that also. That is my last and the final module. So this program, it is the same program. Only thing the module is going to have things like, how do you listen? How does it listen from my microphone? So there are some things. So I will tell you that. We will just take another 10-15 minutes. We will be able to execute this module. Right, guys? Right. This is our last and final module. What is that we have added to the existing module? This is what we are going to see. So first and foremost thing I've added is nothing but my speech recognition. So this module speech recognition I have added. Right? I have importing speech recognition as yes. Next, there is something called threading. I'll come back to the threading now. So we are not going to deal with threading now. Only about speech recognition we are going to discuss. Okay, so libraries you will need for speech recognition is there are two libraries. One, you have to do pip install speech recognition. Second one you have to do is pip install PyAudio. Okay, speech recognition will not be a problem, but PyAudio, again, I have included that in the material. You will have some issues depending on your processor because it has to listen to your microphone, right? So depending on that, you have to install some wheel files. So I've given you, proper clean directions of how to go about with it. So you will definitely be able to crack it, not a problem. So you have to install two libraries. One is speech recognition, the other one is PyAudio. So PyAudio is basically used to listen from your microphone. Speech recognition is going to convert whatever it has listened from your microphone into text. So these are the two different libraries, and this is the work of them. Right. So what is that we will see? So we already saw this part we have discussed. It is going to be the voice part that is already done. Now it is going to be speech recognition part. So after GUI, so I have included speech recognition part. Let us see where it comes. Right. So what happens in the speech recognition is, so I have to, when I'm asking from the bot, right, I have to make it speak. So I have to say speak. Here is where I have inserted that speak. So I have to say speak the reply. So speak it. So I'm going to say speak it. It is the voice part of it. Similarly, we also should see what happens to recognition part. Okay, so what happened? How are we going to recognize what we spoke already? So again, that is one thing which we have to program, right? So how are we going to program? We are going to use this. Going to understand the user's voice, whatever was spoken by the user. How will I understand it? Convert into a text, pass it to my chatbot, and chatbot will give me a reply, and that reply has to be converted into voice. Okay, that reply converting into voice we already saw. So what is that we have not seen so far? How do I understand what the user speaks is what I have not seen so far. So how am I going to do that? First of all, I have to create the speech recognition as yes, I told you speech recognition I've already had here. So I'm going to say speech recognition, import speech recognition as yes. Yes. So that's what I have it here. Right. So what am I going to do from there is whatever speech recognition I have, I'm going to use a recognizer method, which is used to recognize my voice. Right. I'm going to say SR is equal to, that is an object created for this recognizer, S dot recognize. Okay. And then I have to give the pause. Like I had a question now. So will it be listening? So how I wanted to listen? What is the threshold? Say I have given one here means 1 second. So I wanted to listen every second, whatever I speak and give the reply. Right. So again, you can adjust this according to your necessity. If you want a more pause, you can give a bigger pause. If I can even say 0.5, which means it will be like, it'll keep listening to you every half a second. It keeps listening to you. And sometimes what happens, the problem when you keep low values for threshold is, see, I would have said how are you, but it would take that question 3 times. How are you, how are you, how are you? It will take 3 times and then reply to that question. That's what happens. Listening will be no done repeatedly. So I can increase it to 2 seconds, then maybe it may seem to be slow. You have to talk, wait for the system to recognize your voice and then give a reply. So again, it depends. So you have to adjust the threshold. That is the threshold. Pause threshold is what it is, right? Yes. Then what I'm doing is I'm going to have a try catch block here. So I'm going to speak in the microphone, and if there is an error, it is going to throw out an exception. Then I'm going to say it is not recognized. Otherwise, if it works properly, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use a method and listen to what I spoke in the microphone, right? So I'm going to say with s dot microphone, I'm going to create an object m for microphone. So I'm going to say listen to that audio. So now I have an audio file. So audio is nothing but whatever I have listened, that audio file is there. That audio file has to be converted into text. Okay. So I'm going to do that using the method called recognize underscore Google. Recognize underscore Google will take my voice input, convert it into an Indian English text. And say pass it to askbot. So I'm going to pass it to askbot, and that reply is going to come both in form of a text in my list box and also the voice which you heard now. Both will happen, right? This is how it is done. The other things are same. So we deleted the query from the text box. Whatever query was there in the text box, we have inserted in the list box. All these things we have done already. Only the extra part is how do you take the input from the microphone and convert it into text. Is only thing we have added to the whole program. So that becomes your fourth module. Okay. So we can execute it again. No, there may be problems of hearing. So I will also show you the recorded version. But now I would like to go with this particular program. So training is happening. So I got my GUI. So you can see that Unco bot is listening, right? It is listening already. So I have to give my text. So you understand whatever I'm talking, it is trying to pick words from there and trying to give me a reply. Whatever I spoke, it understood and it is saying, what is your favorite programming language? How are you? How are you? What is a chatbot? Yes, you understand. So you have to give your pause and then speak, then clearly it will understand. So otherwise, whatever I'm talking to you now, again, it is trying to pick up. Okay, once I pause, then it will pick up my sentence and try to give a reply. You understand? Yes. So maybe you are not able to listen to the chatbot talking, only saw the reply in the text, right? So actually it spoke. So I will show you the recording. We'll go to the recording part of it and I will show what actually happened now. So I'm going to share the recording with you. So I'll give you various output files. So what are the various inputs and outputs we got? How are you?
I am not into sports that much.
What are your interests?
I like seeing movies. I am interested in all kinds of things. We can talk about anything.
Yes, this particular no execution, I speak something and it is able to try to grasp. Take time for training, and you have to find out what are the problems in training and then try to also solve it. So it takes a lot of time. What we have done now is very basic. Created a basic robo, we've created a basic GUI, and then we added the speech to it. But you have to work more with it, right, so that it gives you proper reply. So this is another example I would like to share with you. Hi, how are you?
Fine. Thank you. Fine. Thank you.
This example I wanted to show you because I have decreased the threshold in this particular example. I have made it into 0.5 seconds. So you can see that no, it is trying to the pause is very less. So it's taking it 3 times. The input is taken 3 times. This is one example. So another example I will give you. So I've taken all the cases. I wanted to show you various outputs I had got so far. Various cases, good ones, not so good ones. Yes, this is one more execution. Hi.
Hi. Hi.
What is a chatbot?
Hi. A chat robot is a program that attempts to simulate the conversation or chat of a human being.
Yes, so this is again one with the decreased threshold. Right, you can play with it. You can give your inputs. You can train the robo. So basically the program doesn't change. So all you have in the old program is going to remain the same. So the kind of data you're going to store in the program will decide your outputs. So what the input and what the output is going to be, that is going to be decided by the data you store. And secondly, you're training the how you train, how do you set these things. So all those things are going to decide how your robo is going to perform. So what we have seen so today is we have actually seen how do you create a chatbot from scratch, a simple program to create a basic chatbot, and how does it train. And then the second module was all about how do you create a graphical user interface, how do we have components, how do you program it, right? So all the material, as I told you, will reach you very soon. So I want all of you to try it. Don't leave it with today. I want you to take this up seriously. It will definitely be helpful for you in the future. So something this will be from the basics of what you're going to create in the future, right? So you should definitely go ahead doing it. A third module was all about how we added the voice component to it, and the last one was how we did the speech recognition part. We added the speech recognition part to our program. So hope this will be useful for you. Please do make it useful. Please do try it, install the components. So again, I will repeat, first you have to install Anaconda. In Anaconda, you have Spider. So you can go to Spider, type your program and execute it. The libraries you would need are these. First, you need the Chatbot library. Then you have Tkinter library. Then PyTTSX3 library, PyAudio library, and the speech recognition library you will need for for the whole session, whatever we have done. So it all belongs to these libraries, right? So let us together contribute building the future. Yes, yes. So one last video before we complete the session. Again, to see what is how the future is going to be, right? So let us see.
Ma'am, can you please share the videos you have?
Yeah, it will be shared with you very soon.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay,
Thank you.
so it will be shared. So video anyways, no, I would like try and play it in Chrome. Wait a minute, give me a minute. So it is a 5-minute video. So meanwhile, if there are any questions, think about it. You can ask me after the video.
The future of voice recognition technology. While voice enhancement technology is critical, especially during this pandemic, to using platforms like Zoom, dictating to digital assistants, or using online speech transcription services, there are many other areas where voice recognition is already experiencing vast improvements. When voice technology began to emerge in 2011 with the introduction of Siri, no one could have predicted that this novelty would become or forecasts that nearly 92.3% smartphone users will be using voice assistants by 2023. Brands such as Amazon and Google are continuing to fuel this trend as they compete for market share. Voice interfaces are advancing at an exponential rate in all industries, with notable growth in healthcare to banking, as companies are racing to release their own voice technology integrations to keep pace with consumer demand. The human-centric approach. What may address many challenges in voice user interface and speech recognition capabilities is designing the technology to become more human-centric. At the highest level, the interfaces should become less strict or less machine-driven, and instead become human-centric, so humans can interact with machines naturally, without using a strict, unwavering linguistic law. This human-centric approach could solve the problems of children interacting with voice recognition devices. Additionally, companies like Google and Amazon are developing deeper conversational skills and technology to discern people's emotions in their voices. This type of technology could also solve the problem of unexpected variables in voice recognition. No more buttons. The future is clear and simple, says Ilan Slapik, Cardome's co-founder and director of research and development. No more buttons around you. Remote controls, keyboards, light switches, touch screens, all will be history. Look at your smartphone and recall the buttons and the keyboards you were using just a decade ago. Your touch will be bestowed to your loved ones. Eliminating switches, stalks, buttons, and touchscreens, which are more expensive to produce than modern MEMS microphones, is undoubtedly a cost-effective advancement in voice technology that can have a beneficial impact on many private and public business sectors. Machine learning and artificial intelligence. Machine learning, artificial intelligence, AI, and the data that feeds AI are vital factors that will drive improvements in voice recognition. Machine learning is the linchpin to voice technology and the ever-growing data that provides AI, making it, and the machines that employ AI, smarter. AI in voice is built to learn from experiences, identify trends, and provide answers. In a recent Voice Talks episode, Leslie Pound, CEO of Tata Labs, predicted that voice connected to real query data is the future in voice technology. We'll see more connection to data, Pound said. Data is doubling every year. Data is coming from our lights, our phone, our cars. We have this entire infrastructure of data and databases, and we will see people integrate more and more with that infrastructure. Individualized experiences, including speaker verification. We will also see more personalized interaction with voice recognition devices. You can already customize digital voice assistants, like Google Home, to respond to your voice only and read off a list of preordained items, such as news, the weather, your schedule, and hand-picked podcasts based on set voice activations. Amazon's Alexa can personalize responses for everyone in a home. Alexa's voice recognition capabilities become smarter over time, making the preciseness of personalized answers more accurate. The increasing amount of voice recognition skills, which jumped from 10,000 to more than 100,000 in only 3 years, will continue to expand personalization possibilities. Proactive voice assistants. The next stage in voice recognition and personalization is voice assistants' ability to predict what you might want. In a demo of Alexa Conversations by Rohit Prasad, Alexa's head scientist, Alexa helped plan a night out rather than waiting for a new request for every part of the evening. A user needs only to begin the conversation, such as asking to book movie tickets. Alexa takes over and follows up by asking if you want to book dinner reservations or call an Uber. This ability to proactively engage with users requires hardware and software that allows the voice recognition device to listen to and log a vast amount of data from a user's everyday life. Additionally, learning through billions of user interactions per week, Alexa knows what skills are commonly used together, allowing it to predict and package skills together in a recommendation intelligently. Omnipresent voice recognition integration. While it seems the future is already here, the growth of voice-enabled smart devices continues, from smart TVs, watches, speakers, car voice assistants, and more. The auto industry is also ripe for further integration of voice recognition devices. Smart speakers, voice assistants, and voice-controlled navigation all provide a more effortless and safer driving experience. The Capgemini Research Institute expects the consumer use of voice assistants in cars to reach 95% by 2022. The day will come soon when one can use their voice to open the window, start a car, turn on the air conditioning, while the smart car assistant identifies each speaker, driver or passenger, and his location in the vehicle, and provides personalized responses. Such technology is underway with Cardome, Renault Nissan Mitsubishi's innovation lab in Tel Aviv. Israel is currently evaluating Cardome's smart audio solutions for automotive applications. Hit like and subscribe if you like the information.
Right. So that's all for this session. Any questions? So please give your valuable feedbacks. You can always get back to me. Once you get the material, please do try out the programs. And if you have any doubt, ping me. So I would be happy to help you. Yes, guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Maneshwari ma'am, thank you very much. It was a very wonderful presentation and marvelous demo also. Good transformation. Before start the session, it was zero knowledge about voice interface system. Now, some knowledge everyone got in this session. Thanks a lot for your effort and presentation. Really, hats up to you. Excellent, ma'am. Thank you very much for your presentation. Thanks, ma'am. Dear
Thank you so much, sir.
participant, please give your valuable feedback.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for being a wonderful audience.